Thank you, French, but shalom, greetings to you all. Well, welcome each and every one of you. And even though the high holy days are behind us, you can still stand for another. Be that one voice, be that one defending angel that everybody is entitled to. And I hope all of you who have been busy with the Lulav and Etrogs all week, but I hope all of you who are not Etrogs, Etrogim that is, those with knowledge of spiritual law who just do good deeds, have become myrtles. Those who do good deeds, whether they know the spiritual law or not. So let us all just do good deeds. And of course, in our desire to do good, let us begin by sending healing, goodwill, and renewal out to everybody you know in need, to the whole world. Let us all join together in hoping everyone everywhere gets the healing, gets the energy, gets the love they all need to feel. Feel the feeling, feel the love. It's for all those of you in need of healing. Remember, energy and spirit know no boundaries. And think of the names of those you know, those you love, in need of healing, in need of energy, in need of spiritual renewal. And call them out, call their names out for them. Send energy out to everybody. Misha Berach, renewal of energy. Misha Berach, Avotenu, Makor HaBracha, Limotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach, let us all have our spirits renewed. We have hit the reset button for everyone everywhere because that is the opportunity that we were just given. We've reset, my friends. And this week, we're in the Chol HaMoed, the intermediate days of Sukkot, the holiday of the Lulav and Etrog that we shake in all six directions. Now, it is the gathering festival when we spend time in our booths, our huts, honoring the harvesters who lived in booths to facilitate harvesting during the agricultural age. And earlier than that, honoring the cloud that guarded the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, the sacred skin of the wilderness generation, who enjoyed daily miracles and the closest exposure to God of anyone of all time. Now the holiday ends, and we have what's called Simchat Torah on the night of the 23rd this year. We've shaken the sticks and marked the six directions for the last time, and now we have the rejoicing of the Torah, Simchat Torah, rejoicing of the Torah, rejoicing of the teaching. It's a whirlwind of a dancing holiday for men, for women, for children. It's a favorite by everybody in every synagogue. They all pull all the Torahs out and they all dance. Oh, I love to climb a mountain and to reach the highest peak, but it doesn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Now that, of course, Cheek to Cheek, was sung by the great Fred Astaire, and man, could that guy dance. I still love watching Fred Astaire movies. And we should rejoice. We should dance, rejoice. We have allowed our lives, our generations, our faith, our history, our achievements, our uniqueness to be guided by the teaching that has stood the test of time. Now, traditionally, we dance around the synagogue with the Torah, and so we become the dancing feet of the dancing scrolls. It's a great celebration. It's my wife's favorite, actually. And it also marks the anniversary of the loss of her best friend, Wilhelm. With it, of course, comes the immediate opening of the scrolls to the first part of the Bible, and we begin the cycle again. So let's talk a little bit about that because we begin reading it next week. Now, the beginning of the Torah is filled with hints, allusions, and foretelling of things to come. From the cherubim which guard the garden and then guard the ark, Cain's fear of his face being hidden from God, to God hiding his face from man. We encounter the temptation of the serpent, and with it, the first addition that we are warned against: do not add and do not subtract. The Garden of Eden, the Tree of Life, are not destroyed in Genesis. They are simply rendered inaccessible. The initial divine human alienation that's marked by the eviction from paradise is not necessarily to be understood as final. The possibility of human return exists. It is a book that involves looking forward, looking back, a linking of past and future. It's a strange concept of time, linear and cyclical, historical and timeless. It may very well be the first known work of history on Earth, telling a record of events on a timeline. Yet we read that record in a cyclical manner, always returning to the beginning, and so returning, teshuvah, becomes one of the central concepts and themes of Judaism. Now, it was a book that attempted to be different, providing a new way to conceive of time and human destiny. And its God was different, creating all of nature, and therefore not knowable or identifiable through any one element of nature, which other gods were. One could learn no more about this God by contemplating the sea than by contemplating grain, sky, fire, anything else. The essence of this God remains hidden. This God cannot be known through nature, but by the divine acts in history. We're given hints in creation, but we never find out who or what God is. Instead, we find out what God does and what God says. And this conception, which prizes all of the biblical narrative, did not have to be developed at the very beginning of the story, but it was. And we always return to the beginning of the story. And I was thinking of this and how we return to the beginning. And the words to "You Can Never Go Home" struck me, for those Moody Blue fans out there. I don't know what I'm searching for. I never have opened the door. Tomorrow may find me at last, turning my back on the past. But time will tell of stars that fell 1,000,000 years ago. And that is where we are now going. Well, technically, it's 77 years ago, but I think it's probably closer to 1,000,000. Genesis opens with a narrative of origins, creation in the garden story. It's compelling in its archetypal character, its adaptation of myth to monotheistic ends, and that has established the pattern, well, maybe not scientifically, certainly symbolically, for much of the way we've thought about human nature and culture ever since. The legendary sequence, which moves from Eden at the beginning to the Tower of Babel, is followed by a completely different form of narrative in the patriarchal tales that begins with Abraham. Nowhere else in ancient literature have the quirkiness and unpredictability of individual character and the frictions and tensions of family life, sibling rivalry, jealousy of co-wives, extravagance of parental favoritism, been registered with such subtlety, insight, and foreshadowing. And friends, they are still played out to this day. We learn nothing. Or is this part of the flaw we will read about, and which we were so reminded of in the Song of Moses that ends the book? Did he act ruinously? No. His son's the fault. A perverse and twisted brood. And of course, that's talking about us. Now, like a film that begins with a sweeping shot that then narrows, so the first chapter of Genesis moves gradually from a picture of the skies and earth down to the first man and woman. And the story's focus continues to narrow, from the universe to the earth to humankind, to specific lands and peoples, to a single family. Now, unlike other ancient myths and fables, which each stand alone, the episodes in the Torah stand in relation to the whole. You read each part keeping the whole in mind. But it's not history from the beginning of time. And that is often misunderstood. It is from a fixed time, from a pre-existing condition. This great book opens in controversy. Translation of its first line alone has been the subject of books. And keep in mind, the concern of the Hebrew Bible generally is history, not the cosmos. And only Genesis 1, which we will read next week, is an exception. You will notice it does not say, "In the beginning, God created the skies and the earth," although you may very well read that in many different translations. Rather, it says, "Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim va'et haaretz." In the beginning of the gods creating the skies and the earth, when the earth had been shapeless and formless. That is, there is pre-existing matter, one which is in a state of watery chaos. Subsequent matter, dry land, heavenly bodies, plants, animals, may be formed out of this undifferentiated fluid. And creation becomes a series of separations, and in each separation, a name is given to distinguish it. In ancient times, the world was perceived to be like a bubble with water all around, almost like a glass dome, like those snow globe things. And Rambam called it a tent. Now, this is further seen when you read the description of the flood, which we'll read next week or the week after. It was not simply rain. You will read all the well springs of the great deep burst, and the casements of the heavens open. Now, when in doubt, my friends, look to the words. The Hebrew word represented by casements is erubot. It is a rare term occurring only twice elsewhere in the Bible, and it clearly means window. So we have the water pouring in from above and the water seeping up and pouring through from below, with the earth caught in the middle. Now, we have taken this great collection, and we've changed it in many ways. We have taken one of the books, the Book of Instruction, Torah, to be the title to the whole. Now, it has been most commonly called the Pentateuch in Greek or the Chumash in Hebrew, both of which simply mean five, or the five books. And scholarship for more than 2 centuries has agreed that the 5 books are drawn together from different literary sources. Now, the standard account offered by modern scholars of the Torah identifies 4 principal literary strands. J, the Yahwistic strand for the 4-letter name of God. E, the Elohistic strand. P, the priestly strand. D, for Deuteronomy. Now, the first 3 are intertwined through Genesis, Exodus, and Numbers in random fashion. P, the priestly, predominates Leviticus. In fact, it's probably the entire Leviticus, while all of Deuteronomy is D. But of course, most of us grew up being told Moses wrote them all. It's the 5 books of Moses. Now, we've learned much archaeologically and scholarly that we did not know before. But because of how we view this book as a book highlighting faith, law, ritual, ethics, it does not matter. What matters is what these books mean, what they teach or instruct, what they represent, especially to the Jewish people. One does not need to claim that Genesis is a single artwork, like say a novel, in order to grant it integrity as a book. We're not conducting a history lecture, but of course we have to look to history and language, politics, religious development, all together in our learning to understand how this book ties a faith together. The Torah tells us more than once that we must examine it in every generation, that we must ask new questions and get new answers. That is how an organic book that's thousands of years old can still have the impact which it does. Now, as most of you are aware, and as you just saw, language and words are crucial. And so it should be kept in mind that we only have an approximate notion, at best, of how biblical Hebrew was originally pronounced. We really don't know. There's some question about vowels in particular, because vowel points were added to the text by the Masoretes, the Hebrew scholars of the 6th to 10th century Tiberius, who fixed the text of the Bible with full punctuation, standard since then, almost 2 millennia after the texts were initially composed. Now there was, however, a continuous tradition, like the Iliad, for recitation of the text on which the Masoretes drew. So it was an oral book at one point, and that's what we're hoping that allowed the Masoretes to fix the vowels to it. And as we begin with Genesis, the only one of the 5 books that's more or less a continuous narrative from beginning to end, you'll notice that it is a strange book of opposites. Genesis begins with the making of heaven and earth and all life, and ends with the image of Joseph's mummy and death in a coffin. The primeval history cultivate a kind of narrative that's fable-like, legendary, sometimes even mythic. The human actors in these stories are kept at a distance, and they seem much more generalized types than individual characters with distinctive personal histories, like the patriarchs who we get to really know. We have a book filled with mystery and majesty. As we mentioned last time, and what we will read next, the little talked about enigmatic notice about the Nephilim, the human divine hybrids of the primeval age, concludes with these words: "They are the heroes of yore, the men of renown." And there were stories told about these beings in every culture the world over. And next week, we begin at the beginning with a book that we have read, that we know how it ends, but still we read it fresh each time, and we get something new from it each time. Yes, my friends, the world is sacred. So is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom, be well, be happy, and be blessed. Share and honor the light in all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together. We celebrate each other. We love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive and learn to love. Open your hearts. Honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. Enjoy the journey. Take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our effort to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Send healing, goodwill, and love to all who need it. Share your holiness. Now bless you all. Have a fantastic week. Week of love and light and dancing. Week of peace and healing. For you to honor the people of your life and honor the journey you are on. Honor yourselves. And friends, keep your eyes open to what you may not be seeing. Keep your ears open and listen to the world around you. And remember, this is an organic book. The lessons, the laws, the ethics, the ritual changes with the time. It's how it stays current, relevant, new, meaningful, and continues to provide us with insight and with answers. And we're going to go back to the beginning. Now, enjoy your dancing this week, my friends. And certainly, for all of you who have seen Sir Paul, this is always a highlight of the evening. Everybody gonna dance tonight. Everybody gonna feel alright. Everybody gonna dance around tonight. Everybody gonna stamp their feet. Everybody gonna feel the beat. Everybody gonna dance around tonight. Everybody's gonna dance around, dance and rejoice. Do not restrict it to a single day of the year. Share your joyous emotions with everyone all the time. Remember, we set in motion all that happens in our lives, our intention, our cause, our effect. Everything is linked together. My friends, dance, dance, and have a good time. The book is sealed, but there is no moratorium on forgiving and asking to be forgiven. Acknowledge what you've done wrong to yourself, to God, to any person you've wronged, and then ask forgiveness. And do so with sincerity, accountability, and vulnerability. Do not stop your journey. Do not stop moving towards your promised land. It is in sight. Keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching, keep spreading your holiness. Do not follow fear. Now, thank you all for joining me, for participating, for sharing your lives, your love, your time with me. I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you all next week in the beginning. Be well till then. Shabbat shalom. Blessings to you all. Take care. Bye.